Our next panel is from the Starblanket Cree Nation, Qu'Appelle Indian Residential School Ground Search Project. So if our panelists can please make your way to the stage, have a seat.
Welcome.
Gerard Wolf, coordinator of the Indian Residential School Ground Search Project. And Sherry Bellegarde, project coordinator of the Indian Residential School Ground Search Project. Nakormik, please welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Have a seat. You have the choice to sit anywhere you want.
We're good to go?
You can use the podium or you can use the microphone. It's up to you. Please be close to the mic. Can you please turn your phones off or put them on silent mode? Nakormik?
Test, test. Good afternoon. Thank you for everything that everyone has done, and for all the speakers, and for the youth for coming up, and for pretty much everything, your hospitality, and for the beauty of this land. That's the first thing I wanted to acknowledge, is the territory and the land that our feet are planted on, and for the hospitality that the Inuit people has given us as visitors to your beautiful land and your beautiful nation. Thank you so much for that in the province, territory of Nunavut. We'd also like to thank our hosts for providing us with a lovely cultural experience that we had down at the Art Gallery. We shared a lot of your cultural traditions, so thank you so much for giving that back to us. We're humbled and honored to be here. We'd like to give a huge thank you to the special interlocutor, Kimberly Murray, for having us, and also to Julie Montour, for all your hard work and all your efforts in setting this beautiful gathering together with this beautiful venue. Can we all just give them a round of applause for this amazing event and beautiful venue? And Lavier, my man, I don't know if he's here or not, but is he making a fire? Yeah, he's such an amazing guy. No wood. We can't use wood here. I'd also like to give a special shout out to our youth for the way you presented and the way you've communicated with us what you need. One of the youth on the panel here just said kind of some key words that got me thinking. She acknowledged the leaders here. Well, they don't really need to be acknowledged as much as you need to be acknowledged, because you are future leaders and you are the ones that are going to be taking our spots in this role and leading this country. So if we can give a nice round of applause for these youth, our future leaders. Thank you so much for what you do and your speaking and your stories. Thank you. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our friends in Chisasibi for hosting us last year. We love you guys. Thank you so much for making this possible as well for us. And so basically, I wanted to introduce myself, Gerard Wolf, Nisio Gatson, Mescalgan Igua Starblanket of Sitnia. Nanaskaman for having me here. My name is Gerard Wolf. I'm from the Mescalgan First Nation, but I reside and I'm married onto Starblanket Cree Nation. I'm very grateful for that. My wife is Bobby Jo Star, and she made this and she dresses me. So yeah, and then I have my comrade and my fellow colleague here. I'll let her introduce herself.
Danse, Sherry Bellegarde, and Sikasene, Kwamina, Mil Taco Stew, Piesu Esquel. Achako Taco Pirochinia, Kwamina Kiskimane Chico Chinia. So my name is Sherry Bellegarde, and my other name, my spiritual name, is Good Sounding Thunderbird Woman. I am from the Starblanket Cree Nation, which is a part of a place that we call Val Hills agency. Our File Hills Reserves, there's about 5 of us, and we're all situated right near each other, right side by side, kitty corner to each other. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into our presentation, because part of it includes a 20-minute video, which is going to take up most of our time. It was a compromise because my husband is the director of operations for the Starblanket Cree Nation, and he goes to me, ask them if they can live stream me in there. Can they zoom me in? I said, sure. If you wanted to be here, you should have been here, I told him. So the compromise was I do the video, and it includes Sheldon, and it also includes our elder, because we were asked to invite an elder as well, but it's too cold up here and you don't have any trees. So we had to leave her. But she's going to be in the video as well. She'll share some of the words. The video itself is a clipping of our press conference. When Gerard went out, it came to our attention that not many people actually knew about our site or what we discovered or what we uncovered on our site in Lebret. So without further ado, I'll just jump right in. We're going to really go fast, really quickly through the slides. Some of them we're not even going to touch on because, like I said, we're stuck. We got very little time here. So our project ground search team here, it's quite large right now, but we're going to be cutting that down. We've got chief and council mostly on there, and then some of our other affiliated members that sit on there. And then, of course, there's me and Gerard. And our research team, we get a lot of questions about our research team. Right now, there's only 2 full-time researchers, but in the summertime, we bring on about 4 additional summer students. So we have a big research team during the summer months. And then our security team. We have a huge security team. Because of the location of our site, we are very accessible to the public because we are located right along the Qu'Appelle Lake system near the Fort Qu'Appelle, or the town of Fort Qu'Appelle. So we have to secure our site down pretty hardcore. So these are just some of our research challenges. We have a whole lot of names that our school used to go by. So when we go in to do our research, we got to go through all these names in order to try and locate different files. So that's kind of what that was about. I know I'm speeding really quickly through it. This one, I think I will let Gerard touch on this one.
Again, we're not going to kind of go too much into it, but these are some of the historical figures that were attached to our site. Just going to focus a little more on Huguenard. He's one of the first priests and the principals of the Lebret. Was it the Qu'Appelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Qu'Appelle Indian Residential School. And the main thing we wanted to focus on is the fact that in our site, it's a little more historical, where most of Western Canadian priests come to our site to live and to be taught how to run and manage a residential school by that guy in the corner. And then they were shipped out all over to start their own residential school. So it's modeled after the site that we are working on today. So that's kind of what we wanted to highlight.
And then we included this picture here because here is where they first came into our site. They erected a cross here by this chapel. And when you come into Lebret, it's actually quite beautiful down in the valley. And that's one of the first things you see is that little chapel. And everybody asks, well, do they still go to church up there? Because you got to climb up the hills to get to it. Yes, they do have service there, but only on special occasions. It is a Roman Catholic run residential school. So this is an RC church in the background. What else do we have? Oh, I think I'm going backwards. Sorry.
And when it wasn't Jisasabi, I did call him another name, but I can't use that name here.
Did he tell you what he introduces himself as?
No, don't even go there. So moving on, we wanted to highlight a lot about the seminary, but also the fact that if you see the families and our First Nation relatives up there, when the school was happening and the children were taken away from their homes, families waited and camped outside of the school, probably much like a majority of your other sites, but they stayed there and waited for their kids to come back. So in our hills, there was historical campsites of our people waiting for their babies to return.
Yeah. So here, this seminary, this is the priest seminary that was located across the lake. That's what these 2 photos show. The seminary, this is where our school was. This is the Qu'Appelle Industrial School right here, or the Lebret Industrial School, was located along this coast right here. So there was easy access. There's stories of the priests coming across by canoe and boat to our site. So that's one of the areas that we also will be hoping to search through right now. It's a developed land right now. Were we going to touch
I think
on
we'll
this one?
skip that one.
Yeah, we were going to skip this one.
We're just
for
a
the
little
sake
short
of
on
time.
time, so we're going to skip some of it, but the presentation will be available through the Special Interlocutor's Office.
I do want to touch on this one real quickly. Our school was destroyed two times? Yeah, 2 times by fire. So it burnt down in 1904. And then it was rebuilt in 1906, and then during that rebuilding time, they housed the students at the seminary. The boys went to the seminary, and the girls went to the convent. And then in 1932, they rebuilt that school in 1906. Then in 1932, one of my grandfathers, one of my mushims, went to that school, and it was him and I believe it was 3 other boys went into the girls' part of the school, and they burned that sucker to the ground. So we're quite proud of that in our family. So this is part of that picture showing that second burning. And then they rebuilt that school in 1936. So our school, it opened in 1884. And on this slide, that was the 3rd school that they built. And that's the one that a lot of our people around that are still living, they know that school because it was built back in the 30s. And then that was the one that we tore down in 1999. So it was open from 1884 and it closed in 1998. So the Lebret Industrial School, or the Qu'Appelle Indian Residential School, was the longest running school in the West. And it was the last one to close in Canada. A lot of people think that the schools closed in 1996, but we always correct a lot of people that no, the last residential school in Canada to close was our site, and it closed in 1998. And I always think that that's really important to stress because there's those extra 2 years of attendees who went. Those are those survivors, and I don't want to minimize their stories either. So that's why I like to correct that when we present. And on top of that, I found a clipping in our research that spoke about how the QIRS Indian Education Board was one of the first ones to actually have First Nation representation on the board. So that happened in 1974, and then, or no, 1972, I think, 1972 or 73, we took it over. And then the Oblates and the Grey Nuns left shortly after they had First Nation representation on our education board. So that's why we included this. And then in 1983, 1984, Starblanket, which is where we're from, took over and started running the school. And then in 1990, I want to say 1994 or 95, they changed the name to White Calf Collegiate. So people that are my age graduated from there. And I'm not that old. I'm like 41. So a lot of people from my area went to that school, and I didn't get to go, but I was always threatened. If you don't listen, Sherry, we're going to send you to residential school. And I didn't want to go because it didn't have a very good reputation at the time. So we closed it closed its doors in 1998, and then following the elders' orders, they tore it down. So we began our scanning at the project in 2021. This was when we had to do grids, or we thought that we had to lay out grid lines. So we created all these grids, and then we had volunteers coming out there and putting them all out there. And that's what we're seeing here. And then it turns out we didn't need all that gridding, because what we could do is, that was our volunteers there, and that right there is our DO. That's Sheldon. Kari, she's one of our doctors, mental health. She's a psychologist, and she helps with our mental health aspect of it. And then these 2 gentlemen here work for Axiom and do the scanning, and this is our cultural advisor, our cousin Victor Starr. And that's my little girl, my baby girl. Her name is Pechuapan. So my family has been right involved in this right from the very beginning. Oh, this takes a while. And that there is the scanning. So we didn't have grids. You see there's no grids needed because that GPR makes its own grid as it goes. And that's the church in the background. Okay, so here's what we can share with you for our current scanning results. And in our video, Sheldon goes over it a little bit more in detail. So this is our area from a drone view. The school used to be in this area here. And all these little blue dots and all these red and green dots, those are all anomalies that the GPR captured. All these little areas. And we even did some scanning over the water as well. But that poses its own challenges, so we won't be able to do too much of the water scanning because we have stories of children being dropped into the water once they passed away. And stories of, I think there was one of where they were going back to the seminary and they would just drop the remains weighted down with rocks down into the lake. We have lots of different stories like that. So that's our current results. And I think that brings us to the video. Yes. So we had our press conference last year in January where we revealed all our findings, including, well, in this video you'll see Sheldon, he will reveal our 3 findings where he reveals the amount of anomalies, the underground tunnels, and then the findings of the remains. So I'm holding this place. Oh, yeah.
A press conference was held by the Starblanket Cree Nation on January 12, 2023, to share with the greater community and general public the findings that had occurred over the course of the Starblanket Cree Nation Indian Residential School Ground Search Project. The project was initiated on November 7, 2021, and is ongoing. The ground search scanning takes place on the former site of the Qu'Appelle Indian Residential School, located on the Wapimustusis subreserve of Starblanket, in the rural village of Lebret, Saskatchewan. Located along the shore of the Mission Lake, the school was opened in 1884 as one of 3 industrial schools that were built on the Western Prairies initially. The QIRS, otherwise known as White Calf Collegiate in its final days, closed its doors for the last time in 1998, making it the 2nd longest running Indian residential school in Canada and the last one to close its doors. It was demolished in 1999 as per the direction of the Starblanket elders. Sheldon Poitras, the Director of Operations for the Starblanket Cree Nation, shared 3 findings with the public: the amount of anomalies scanned on the site, the discovery of underground rooms, and the final shocking discovery of human remains.
We acquired over 2,000 confirmed hits for the scanning. So does that mean there's 2,000 unmarked graves? We don't think so, because there's anomalies, right? GPR can't definitively say that's something. It could be a stone under the ground. It could be a clump of gravel. It could be a piece of wood, or it could actually be something. We don't know yet. All we know is that there's over 2,000 of them, and that's documented with Axiom.
Sheldon is a former student of the QIRS and has first-hand experience with the underground rooms. He shared a part of his experience.
So another discovery that we made, and I have personal experience with this, is there are underground rooms just outside. If anyone's familiar with the generator here, the generator room, if you go straight east of that generator room, the GPR has discovered underground rooms. There was a cave-in back in the late 80s. It got really hot here one day. The pavement caved in and it exposed one of those rooms. And, you know, being a young fella, a few of us being young fellas, hey, let's go and crawl down in that room and see what we can see, you know, not thinking that it might cave in on us further or anything like that. So we jumped down in there. So me keeping that in my memory, I made sure I asked Axiom to scan that area, because a few of us had actually been down in one of those underground rooms. And so the scan has produced more than one room that leads that way. And it brings to mind that film, We Were Children, and it brought to mind late Glenn Anacott, and he talks about underground rooms and what happened to him in those experiences. these stories are coming together and they're fitting together because just more east of that room is where that priest's house was located. That house that he talked about in the film, it is just over there. And these underground rooms lead that way. I went down in that room, I saw different things, like I saw furniture, I saw a gurney, I saw medical jars that were very old from my meager expertise, being a teen and jumping down in there. It was a very, very interesting thing. I was only on a break, so I only had like 5 minutes to kind of jump down there and look around, but there was a lot of old stuff. I knew it was an old room. Like it predated anything that I was aware of, and that was always stuck in my mind is, why is this room underground? Why is it here? And it just left me with a lot of unanswered questions. So I want to bring up another discovery now, moving forward, and I want to kind of caution people now here, especially those who haven't heard this next segment. It is going to be a little graphic. It's going to be disturbing to some folks moving forward. So I just want to warn people about that. But on October 2nd, this past October, our security team, specifically Tyrell Starblanket, he was the first on the scene. He's standing back over there. He was the first to discover this area here and what was discovered at this area. So if you can see that those two areas right there, this is where security, specifically Tyrell, made his discovery on shift at this time. So in his patrolling, he came across this. So this is a jawbone fragment that was analyzed by the Sask Coroner's Office. It is a jawbone fragment of a child between the ages of 4 and 6. So this is physical evidence, physical proof of an unmarked grave. That's been confirmed by both our Philos Police Service and the Sask Coroner's Office. So, moving on to the next slide, it shows just a different angle of the jawbone. So it's a right mandible jawbone fragment that was discovered in that area. One of the things that we were told when we were starting out as a project team is we were told, watch the gophers. The gophers will tell you where they are. And we didn't understand really what that meant until it actually happened. That's a new gopher hole in that area of interest, along with the jawbone. Scattered all over around that gopher hole were other little pieces of bone. Those bones ended up to be animal in nature. So what was happening was when the gophers were excavating their new tunnel systems in there, they would run into bone fragments, they would bring them up, and they would just kind of deposit them on the ground there. So for lack of a better word, it was a pile, like a flat little pile of bones. It had a little mixture of everything in there. And then this is what Tyrell came across. He came across that area of bones spread out here and there, and in that one significant one. So they ran into something while they were excavating their holes, and they brought it up and they just placed it there on the ground.
This discovery has changed everything. It's changed the things that we're going to do. It's changed our mindset. It's changed our way of life in a way. At the beginning, over this past little while here, the last few months, as we're beginning our meetings, we were asked, what do you want from this? What do you want from the discovery? For the most part, we want to honor. We want to honor this young child, the remains of this young child. We want the governments to take accountability, the churches to take accountability, the police services to take accountability. That's what we want from this.
Nigan mantu naskomten miugi sagal megwats egwa kihtimno kihtiyak naskomten na pipito ataros pagana igagi samostamo igagi samuan Kakio hepetu kiek naskomten Qu'Appelle noau. Hemetzet yekanos. Kainanto teitaman nuago magantik. Kapsis pogo skeitaman. Maga. Kakio akame mok. Kai papchi. Kagi sumua esto Kagi sumuan. That little baby, those bones, was someone's child, someone's grandchild, someone's chapan, was ripped from that he or she's family's home. Kidnapped. That same child would have been someone's parent, grandparent, and chapan, but never got the chance to live life and experience it. Never got the chance to have Christmases and family gatherings. Back in those days, it was our sun dances and our ceremonies and our big lodges, our rain dances. Never got the chance because it was robbed from he or she. The government of the day spent a pile of money building and rebuilding these residential school sites. Mark Miller, you're the government of the day. And don't be offended what I'm about to say, because it's not your fault. It's not our fault. It's those settlers and colonizers of the day who thought they knew what was best for us. In every site we've visited, every knowledge keeper, every survivor said, and I'm sure here in Starblanket you would want this. You spend piles of money building these schools so you can commit horrific crimes on our little babies. Mark, you can begin by working with Starblanket and many other residential school sites to build healing and wellness centers, what we need on our First Nation communities.
What we're here for today, we've heard it for many, many generations. Our old people have told us these stories for many, many generations. We know, we've always known, because it's a part of our history. Our people lived it. We lived it. This is just physical proof in that way that all of those things, those atrocities that we were told that existed, that they were reality. You know, as our FSI in chief and Starblanket Chief Star said, this child could have come from any one of our families in our communities. Because as AJ Felix said this morning, being from Sturgeon Lake First Nation, north of Prince Albert, he was also in this school with his siblings. That's how far away kids came for an education. So that's why I say that this child could be from any one of our communities, any one of our families. And we acknowledge them. I support Chief Cameron's comments that our communities need proper healing centers. We need proper institutions in place, because we still have many people that are impacted by the trauma that these schools have created. And for many people that think that residential schools are things of 100 years ago, even in my time, I was a student at this very school. And I am younger than that man sitting down at the end of the table. But in all seriousness, that's what our people need. And we're not going to stop fighting until all of these things are in place to address everything that we have had to go through on simple not being treated as a fellow human being. That thinking. But to honor this child going forward. And I speak for all of our leadership here, Chief Michael Starr, Chief Bobby Cameron, the File Hills Qu'Appelle chiefs here, as well as many, many of those that couldn't be here. We're not going to stop fighting for what our people deserve.
Next up, we have a member of the Starblanket Cree Nation, our elder, one of our knowledge keepers and residential school survivor, Sharon Stronger.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very hard to sit in front and see this young child in front of us. I have grandchildren, Chapanak, residential school survivors, my mom, my grandpa. My brothers and myself came to the school. Thank you, Chief Cameron, Chief Mike. We were taken away from our parents, but we learned how to survive. We learned how to forgive. They tried to take our spirits away. They tried to take the Indian out of us. But thank the Creator, we're back here, strong as we'll ever be, helping each other. We need your prayers, everyone. We have to live with this. We have to live here. Every day, we're going to be reminded that we're walking against people of the spirit world. Like one elder said today, we will survive. We will survive, and we will strive to see our children grow. That's what that elder said today, but he said it in a good way. Take care of each other. Love one another. Sakit to win. Wakus to win. All those things that are important to us. Take care of one another. Love one another. Because Back then, we didn't know what love was. We weren't told we were loved. All we knew was the abuse. But we're here. Kinanas kumitinawa o takapito tek. Kahkia o takapito tek. Uste kanawa pa mina. Kahkia o Yoksipit tamaras ito. Ayaman metene. We ayaman ni kanota. Ituan we woke kehteya. Yoksipit tamara wa kumante. Ni nakawa pa metinawa ito ke. Aka. Sa kehtuan wa kohtuan. Wisuh kamak. Minit ke. Wa pa metinawa minamanto. Nas ko mau. Eu, se petama, minay toge kawapa mitinawa. Mo estas, because there's no word for goodbye. Thank you.
So I said before in Chisasibi, when we presented there, that when we did cover the remains and the findings that we found of this little baby child on our site, we didn't get the coverage that one of the first sites to have discovered tangible, physical, hold in your hands remains of a baby, of one of our babies. It seemed like the media didn't really spread as far as it should have. And the fact that the honoring of our child and our people wasn't really given to us that opportunity. And it still blows my mind today that there's still people that don't know that we found one of ours out there. So thank you for the video, Sherry. That was amazing.
You're welcome. So on the video there, this is the location, and it matched the anomalies here. I had to cry during that video because it's pretty hard stuff, you know, when you, even just putting that video together was, it still brings up emotions, that vicarious trauma. So it did correspond to one of our GPR results on our scanning, where our security found them. And as you can tell, this is all Wapimustusis land, so it's a sub-reserve of Starblanket, and our people are living there still. We have people living here. And then if I was to pull a zoom out, you could see more of our reserve and land of the QIRS across the highway.
That's my house up there too.
Yeah, Gerard.
I live right there.
Gerard lives right there in that complex. So when our elder Sharon Strongarm said, pray for us because we have to live amongst it, she literally means they are living right on site at that QIRS. So we're gonna skip through this because it was in the video. These are the images that we showed at the press conference of the mandible of the child. As Sheldon mentioned, the child was aged between 4 to 6 years old, and and it was somewhere between after 1950s for the dating of it. So it could be anywhere in the original 2 schools. So on this one, it would have been found around this location right here. This photo is from about 1890, roughly. So that's what's kind of unique about our site, is that as you can tell by the photo, there's no cemetery there, you know. But that's where that baby was found. Well, I think my battery's down on my laser pointer. And then, Gerard, did you want to talk about the teepees?
Yeah, I think we just wanted to add to and more reference that, as we were saying earlier, you could see the families camped there waiting for their children. And it's heartbreaking to think you can sit outside a facility and not see your child, not bring them home.
Oh, we saw that in the video. That's where Sheldon was referencing the gophers. So this brought us to the next section of our presentation. We get asked a lot, how do you guys do it? How do you start? Well, this is something I threw together just to give you a bit of a process flow idea of what you could do. Like, everything is flexible. This is what we did as Starblanket. It doesn't mean that it's going to apply to everybody. This is kind of how we went about it. So we have our IRS site, and we are always led by ceremony. We're always led by our culture, by our elders, by our teachings and our traditions. So we started out with ceremony. From there, we engage our community and develop our project team. And then there's a couple of questions there. Have you completed your sovereignty training? No, then I recommend that you complete OCAP training so that you understand your sovereignty over your documentation and your records. Then you can develop your sovereignty legislation for your First Nation. And then if you have completed it, then you develop your sovereignty legislation. Then you follow it down to the bottom. Oh yeah, it's working. So that path would go this way, down here to where you develop additional legislation. Now, are you going to scan? Well, no. Okay, well then don't do anything else. But if you are scanning, then you're going to need to determine the type of scanning that you're going to be needing. From there, you're going to select a group that you're going to work with to do that scanning. Then you're going to get quotes from them, because from there, you need to write a project proposal, including the scope of your project, what it's going to include, your budget, and all that kind of information. Then you're going to submit that. Oh, you also need to know if you have security. Are you going to need security for your site? For us, we did. We needed security. So then you determine your security options, your personnel, your equipment, your budget, and then you put that into your project. Then you submit your project proposal for funding. Have you secured funding? No. Then maybe research some additional funding sources, or ask Kim Murray.
She's gone.
Maybe she could help out.
She left.
If you have secured your funding, then that's where you return to ceremony again. We have that here. And you can also hire your project coordinator to get things rolling. But always, we want to really stress that you return to your cultural protocols, whatever they are, in whatever territory that you are from. Follow your culture, follow your prayers and your teachings. Because that's where we're going to get that guidance from that ancestor. Because these children, they're our ancestors now. We're working for them. So we need to ensure that we're consulting them through ceremony. And then that's where you also develop your terms of reference. And then follow through with your project plan. Go ahead, Jordan.
As you see in the question here, it says, is there a need for security? That's entirely up to you as a site or a nation. We highly recommend that we have security, because these sites are probably one of the most historical crime scenes in Canada. And you don't want no one tampering with anything, digging up evidence, and we've had that happen on our site. We have security. It's just protecting the integrity of the children and the family and the community. So we recommend it.
So then here we get asked a lot, well, what do we do when we find something on our site? Once again, if you find something, turn to your culture. Whatever your ceremonies are, whatever your teachings are, we tell everybody, turn to your culture for guidance, your ceremonies, your protocols. Then, have you done your communication/media strategy, and have you done a mental health strategy? We really need to stress that you have some sort of mental health strategy in place for your project teams. It was something that Sheldon, when he put the initial project proposal together, he didn't think about that part. And then he's got me as his wife, and my my education is in psychology, so I had to give him a panic slap. Don't forget the mental health aspect. You have to remember that. It's highly important. So we really stress, make sure you have that mental health strategy in place, whatever that might include, whether it includes bringing in outside services for support, whether that includes sharing circles, or just self-care in general. That's your mental health. And then when you're writing your strategies, like I said, make sure that you're including your ceremony and protocols. Those strategies should also include like a Gantt chart, or something that outlines the roles and the deadlines and the duties of everybody. Your communication media plan is also going to, that's going to include your emergency plan when you finally find something. That's going to come from your communication strategy. We highly recommend that you have a media person come in and do some training for your people as well. We hired one of my friends, Cherish Francis, from the Iqaluit First Nation. She's really adept in media, and she came in and she trained all of our security and all of our project team with media training beforehand, and then she helped coordinate the press conference and the releasing of that information, because these are our stories, and the media has never been very friendly to us. We need to take control and shape the stories because they're ours. So that's what she teaches us, how to do that, to control that story, to make sure that we get that story out there the way that we want to tell it, not the way that the white media twists our words. Oh, and then another step that we have in here, our first step in our plan was to secure the site and contact the project lead, who was Sheldon. And then they contact the RCMP. And then if you notice on the next slide, you won't see anything about contacting the coroner's office, because it's the RCMP that contacts the coroner's office. And then from there, there's a waiting period while they analyze the remains to make sure that they're human or animal, to distinguish between the two, and it takes about 3 months for that process to happen. So in the meantime, it's that waiting game where you can prepare your community or prepare your project team for what's next to come. What is next to come? Let me see, I get the wrong strip. So this is our Gantt chart, just kind of outlining the roles of everybody. Here on our security team, you'll see that they have different things that they did in their timeline, and it took a minimum of 4 months before, like this would have been when we found it, day one, all the way down to like the press conference, and they had different roles to play in each one. And then our project team and our project team lead, of course, and they also had different roles here. They're all outlined here. And I believe the OSI will be making a release of our PowerPoint, I guess. So you can access all of this online. And then here, this is where we had Cherish, our communication coordinator, and these were her roles for us and the days and times that it took. And then here's your project coordinator. We're pretty busy. That's why we have 2 of us. This is not a one-person job. These teams are not 2-3 people jobs. You need to hire a team of people. We really need to stress that, especially in the research part. When you're not reacting to an emergency situation like this, you need your research team in there, because they're the ones that are going to go out there and they're going to find all that information that correlates to your site and where the stories say the remains are hidden or buried. So it's very important that you have a strong team. And I think that's it. Oh, did you want to speak a little on our next steps?
Sure. So as Sheldon mentioned in our release video, there are rooms and there are tunnels that were discovered, and it goes side by side tandem with the truths of the survivors that came and said, yes, there are tunnels and we've seen them with our own eyes while they're being revealed. So part of our next strategy is to excavate. We approached the community, we approached our Katayak, the elders, and they gave us the go-ahead to start excavating with an archaeologist team. And we're still trying to locate them, so we're going to be working on that in the upcoming future. And then from there, just continue to work with our GPR team and continue the rest phases of our site. But we're really excited about the excavation part, because we've heard a lot of stories of tables downstairs, of gurneys.
Yeah, Sheldon mentioned that he saw a gurney when he went down into that underground chamber.
Gurneys, we've heard of shackles, all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're really excited to see what kind of stuff we're going to bring up with the excavation.
Yeah, we have done scanning of our residential areas. That's what we did this past year. We cannot release those results because we have to take it to our community first, but we have done that. And that's it. That's our presentation for today.
How's our time, Julie? So we apologize, and thank you. We apologize for rushing. We just kind of knew we had a timeline, and we planned for an hour. So that's why it's rushed, yeah.
Thank you, Gerard and Sherry, for telling us about or sharing your work you do at Starblanket, Cree Nation. Very knowledgeable, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your projects.